Are you ready for some of the biggest tax changes we've seen in years? Honestly, whether you're an employee, a freelancer, or a business owner, the way your money is managed is, well, it's about to shift. These changes are going to affect everything, from the actual cash in your pocket to the way you run your entire business. So I have to ask you directly, are you prepared for this 2026 tax shakeup? It's a vital question because the whole landscape is changing. We're talking new rules, new digital systems, and frankly, new responsibilities for all of us. Being unprepared could be really costly, but getting ahead of it, that can make all the difference. Now, to help you navigate all of this, we've actually teamed up with the experts at My Tax Accountant. They've put together this entire guide breaking down exactly what you need to know in simple, clear terms so you can face the future with a bit more confidence. Okay, let's dive right in. We've structured this guide into 4 main sections. First up, we'll look at what all these changes mean for your personal finances. Then, we'll switch gears and focus on the new rules for running a business. After that, we'll take a look at HMRC's big move into a digital-first future. And finally, we'll pull it all together into a practical action plan you can use. Right, let's kick things off with the part that matters most to every single one of us, our own finances. We're talking about the money you earn, the money you save, and the money you invest. There are several key changes coming that are going to directly impact your wallet. So have a look at this. What's really interesting here isn't just the rates themselves, but what's not changing. The personal allowance, the amount you can earn before you start paying any income tax, is frozen at £12,570. Now, with wages rising, this freeze means more and more people are going to find themselves pushed into higher tax bands. It's a thing called fiscal drag. You could end up paying more tax without even getting a proper pay rise. And here's a little pro tip for anyone with investments or who runs their own limited company. The dividend tax rates will continue at 8.75% for basic rate taxpayers and 33.75% for higher rate taxpayers. It might seem like a small detail, but it's absolutely crucial to factor into your financial planning if you get any income from dividends. Now, this number, £3,000, this is incredibly important if you're an investor. This is the new annual exempt amount for capital gains tax. It's the amount of profit you can make from selling assets, like shares or maybe a second property, before you have to pay tax. This is a huge reduction from what it used to be, and it means a lot more of your investment gains are now taxable. And here's another quick fact for you with some pretty big long-term implications. The main inheritance tax allowance is frozen at £325,000, all the way until April 2028. With property values and other assets generally going up, this freeze means a growing number of estates could find themselves facing an inheritance tax bill, which makes careful estate planning more important than ever. Okay, let's move on. Let's see how all this starts to build up for anyone who's self-employed, a contractor, or running a small business. The next few years are going to bring a whole load of new rules that will really change the financial landscape for entrepreneurs. First up, corporation tax. The main rate is holding steady at 25% for companies with profits over £250,000. That gives some stability for larger businesses. But, and this is crucial, the small profits rate of 19% is still here for companies earning up to $50,000, which is a vital lifeline for startups and smaller businesses. But that's not all. Let's talk about national insurance for employers. Now, the rate employers pay is staying at 13.8%. But the really critical part is that the threshold, the point at which employers start paying these contributions, is frozen. So just like with personal tax, as you give your staff pay rises to keep up with inflation, the cost of employing them actually goes up for you. It's a hidden squeeze on businesses. But there is some good news to help offset that. The employment allowance, which lets eligible small businesses cut their annual national insurance bill, is staying at a very helpful £5,000. This provides a really critical buffer for a lot of small employers trying to manage those rising NIC costs. And this next slide, wow, it perfectly illustrates HMRC's new, tougher stance. Starting from April 2026, the penalty for filing your company's tax return just 1 day late is doubling. It's going from £100 to £200. It's a very clear signal. Meet your deadlines, because simple mistakes are about to get a lot more expensive. Okay, for this next point, it's a little bit more technical, but it's so important. When a sole trader decides to incorporate, basically turn their business into a limited company, they can often use something called incorporation relief. This relief lets them delay paying capital gains tax on the value they've built up.
Now, stay with me here. The next point might just surprise you.
So here it is, the crucial change. From 2026, this relief will no longer be applied automatically. You or your accountant will have to actively claim it. This sounds like a small admin change, right? But it's one that could catch so many business owners out. If you forget to make the claim, you could get hit with an unexpected and potentially very large tax bill. So the really important point to get here is that it's not just the rules that are changing. The entire system we use to deal with our taxes is being rebuilt from the ground up. Let's take a look at the massive digital transformation that's happening behind the scenes at HMRC. This quote from HMRC's own roadmap, it really sums up their ambition perfectly. They're moving towards a future where pretty much everything is done online. Think of it like swapping an old paper A to Z for a live, real-time GPS for your taxes. This shift is going to change everything about how we manage our tax affairs. And they're rolling this out with a really clear 3-step strategy. First, they want to automate tax wherever they possibly can. Second, they're massively expanding all the digital self-service auctions so you can manage your taxes online whenever you want. And third, for the really complex cases, they'll still provide targeted human support. And this is where it starts to feel a bit like the future. HMRC is going to be using data and AI in really powerful new ways. So on one hand, this means things like pre-filling parts of your tax return with info they already have, which should make life easier. They'll also send you little digital nudges to help you avoid common mistakes. But it also means they'll have automated systems to spot non-compliance, giving them a much clearer, real-time view of everyone's finances. Right. We've covered the personal impact, the new rules for businesses, and the huge digital shift at HMRC. Now it's time to bring it all together. What do you actually need to do to prepare? Let's build a clear, simple action plan. Here's your essential checklist for 2026. First, take a good look at your personal income and investments against those frozen thresholds and lower allowances. If you're a business owner, you absolutely must budget for the impact of those frozen national insurance thresholds. If you're thinking about incorporating, please make a note to actively claim that relief. And for everyone, double-check your filing deadlines to avoid those doubled penalties. And finally, start getting comfortable using HMRC's online services because that is where everything is heading. So it all really comes down to this one question. With so many moving parts, frozen allowances, new rules, digital systems, stricter penalties, what is the single most effective thing you can do to navigate all of this change and stay ahead of the curve?
Okay, before we finish up, just a quick and important disclaimer. The information we've shared here today is for general guidance and understanding only. Tax is complex and it's very personal to your specific situation, so you must consult a qualified professional before making any financial decisions based on this content.
And that really brings us to the answer. The best thing you can do is get professional, personalized advice. The experts at My Tax Accountant are ready to help you understand exactly how these changes will affect you. You can reach them on 020-857-08531, or you can email them at info@mytaxaccountant.co.uk. Don't leave it to chance. Get the tailored advice you need to be fully prepared for 2026.